He was just my son's friend, until he stayed after the party to help clean up. What he said that night stirred something I hadn't felt in years. I'm Helen, 57, and I thought I knew where my life was headed, until one unexpected conversation showed me that being truly seen can change everything. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, the storyteller on the Adult Women's Tales channel. Here I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. Be sure to hit that like button, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe to keep up with our newest stories. The night unfolded with a surprising intensity. Balloons drifted gently against the ceiling, while empty soda cans stood like forgotten sentinels at their stations. On that day, my son Danny celebrated his 21st birthday, and the house was alive with a vibrant energy that I hadn't experienced in years. The sound of laughter and pulsating music flowed through the open windows, echoing into the night well past midnight. The majority of the kids had already departed, their vehicles disappearing into the serene suburban night, headlights cutting through the shadows. As I stood in the kitchen, rinsing wine glasses, a gentle knock echoed from the doorframe behind me. I turned, anticipating Danny, but to my surprise, there stood Tyler. "Hello, Mrs. Garrett," he said, his hands comfortably nestled in his jacket pockets. "Thank you once more for your kindness. What an incredible night it was." I greeted him with a smile and a wave, inviting him inside. "Feel free to skip the Mrs. Tyler. You've spent plenty of time in this house throughout the years. Feel free to call me Helen." With a soft chuckle, he stepped into the light. Tonight, he appeared older, embodying the essence of a man rather than the boy who once devoured grilled cheese sandwiches in my kitchen after soccer practice. His deep brown, contemplative eyes locked onto mine. There was an intriguing quality about them, something that had eluded my attention until now. "Thank you, Helen," he replied thoughtfully. "Would you like me to assist with the cleanup? There's no requirement for that." "I want to," he interrupted gently, already gathering the plates from the coffee table. "Moreover, Danny and the others departed rather hastily. I thought you might appreciate a little assistance." After a brief pause, I gave a nod of agreement. "Sure thing, but you won't be heading out until you've enjoyed a slice of cake." We moved through the kitchen in a comfortable silence, our actions flowing with the ease of long-standing familiarity. It caught my attention just how much taller Tyler has become. Can you tell me when that occurred? His shoulders had taken on a broadness, and his jawline was more defined than I recalled. He had transformed from the wiry teen who once snuck soda from the fridge. "You always throw the best parties," he remarked after a brief pause, rinsing a dish and passing it to me. "I still recall how your house exuded a sense of safety back in high school." That word caused me to pause in my drying for a moment. Secure. It was both a compliment and a confession, intertwined in a single moment. I expressed my gratitude. I aimed to create it that way. There's plenty in the world that doesn't inspire a sense of safety. Tyler propped himself against the counter, methodically drying his hands. "I once believed it was merely about your brownies and Danny's video games. However, it encompassed much more than that." I cast a quick look in his direction, uncertain of the path he was taking with this conversation. "We were free to express our true selves," he continued. "You respected us and didn't underestimate our intelligence. You paid attention. You witnessed us." His words carried a heaviness that sank deep into my chest. Being truly seen is a rarity, particularly by someone who is half your age. I've always found that kids have a fascinating depth that often surpasses that of many adults. I made a light-hearted comment, attempting to lighten the atmosphere. However, Tyler remained silent. "May I pose a question to you?" he stated. "Absolutely. Have you ever wished to return not to your youth, but to that sensation of being seen, of being valued. I was completely taken by surprise. A slight catch in my throat interrupted my breath. No one had ever asked me that before. Not Danny, not my friends, and certainly not my ex-husband during our last years together. It seems like that's a desire shared by all, I remarked. To hold significance, particularly during those tranquil moments at home when the days stretch out more than they once did. He nodded, his gaze fixed on mine, and for a fleeting moment, the room seemed to shrink, enveloping us in an intense closeness. "I see you, Helen," he said softly, "not merely as Danny's mom, but as you, and I always have." The atmosphere around us became dense, electrified by an unforeseen tension. The warmth flushed my cheeks as I pivoted toward the fridge, seeking a moment to regain my composure. "How about enjoying that cake right now?" I inquired, my voice quivering just a bit. He offered a slow, knowing smile. "Absolutely. However, this opportunity is available exclusively to those who choose to join me." We gathered around the kitchen table, the gentle hum of the refrigerator creating a comforting backdrop to our conversation. The cake was delightful, yet the experience was even more enchanting. We discussed literature, explored films, and shared aspirations that never fully materialized. He expressed his admiration for the way I carried myself, embodying strength with a gentle touch. It felt inviting, and I seized it. It felt like an eternity since I last heard those words spoken to me. The clock on the wall ticked past 2 a.m., yet neither of us made a move to conclude the conversation. The candles on the counter danced with a soft flicker, illuminating his face with a warm golden glow. He glanced at his plate, then lifted his gaze once more. He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I'm not sure if this is out of line," he admitted, "but I just have to say, I think you're beautiful." The silence that ensued was rich, neither awkward nor misplaced, simply abundant. "Tyler," I began, but my voice came out as little more than a whisper. "I'm not trying to disrespect you," he said hastily. "I simply had to express it. For years, this thought has lingered in my mind, and as I sit here tonight, I realize I can't walk away without sharing it with you." As my fingers brushed against the rim of my wine glass, a subtle tremor coursed through them. To my surprise, I found myself unafraid. I felt no offense. I experienced a surge of vitality. "I'm at a loss for words," I confessed. "No need to say a word," he responded. "I wanted to take a moment to share something with you." I gazed at him intently and recognized not merely my son's friend, but a young man courageous enough to express his feelings with both respect and sincerity. In that instant, a transformation occurred within me. We found ourselves in silence once more, yet this time it was not the silence of unfamiliar faces. The quiet moment shared between two individuals revealed that true connection transcends the need for consent. It arrives suddenly, without warning, yet profoundly and unmistakably authentic. He finally rose to depart, his hand lightly grazing mine as he reached for his jacket. It was unexpected, it just occurred. That fleeting touch conveyed it all. "Good night, Helen," he said. "Sleep well, Tyler." As the door clicked shut behind him, I stood in the kitchen, my heart quietly racing, contemplating whether tonight had transformed more than I was ready to acknowledge. Once more, the house fell into a serene silence. However, it lacked that familiar kind of silence. It wasn't the familiar solitude that washed over me after Danny's friends departed, nor the quiet hum of the dishwasher that accompanied my late-night gaze into a glass of wine. No, this silence was infused with a warmth, an electric charge reminiscent of the lingering sensation of being truly seen. I lingered there, one hand resting on the kitchen chair, my thoughts swirling around the memory of Tyler's gaze and the way his voice softened as he called me beautiful. Not in the thoughtless manner a younger man might compliment someone for amusement or out of sympathy. He truly meant it. Every single word, And perhaps that's what infused the entire experience with such an unsettling yet exhilarating vibe. I had grown unaccustomed to being the focal point of such attention. As I walked through the living room, my gaze fell upon the mirror above the fireplace, where my reflection awaited me. My hair slipped free from its clip, gentle waves cascading over my shoulders. My makeup had worn off, yet it still lingered just enough. My dress, while understated, embraced my figure perfectly, suggesting a woman who possesses a quiet strength and an undeniable grace. It had been years since I had seen myself in that light. As I settled onto the couch, my gaze fell upon the half-full wine glass resting on the side table, a remnant of earlier moments. My fingers curled around the stem, yet I refrained from taking a sip. I found myself completely absorbed in my thoughts. What makes this the right moment? What makes tonight special? Tyler consistently demonstrated kindness and respect in all his interactions. Yet this evening, an unmistakable shift lingered in his aura. He stayed behind, savoring the moment long after the others had departed. In the way he looked at me, it wasn't the gaze of a boy seeking a mother figure. It was the look of a man recognizing a woman. I was not naive. I was aware that the world could easily mock such an idea. A woman in her 57th year, to be precise, captivating the interest of a man in his 20s. Yet that wasn't the sensation it evoked. It wasn't just playful teasing. It went beyond the surface. His words carried a sense of reverence, infused with admiration and perhaps a subtle longing. The following morning arrived with sunlight pouring in through the kitchen window. The balloons sagged by morning, resembling drowsy guests who lingered a bit too long at the party. I meticulously tidied up the remnants of the party, discarding paper plates, loading the dishwasher, and folding the blankets that Danny's friends had used on the back deck. I made an effort to resist the urge to check my phone, yet I couldn't help myself. 2 times. On the other hand, no message. By noon, I had comfortably slipped into my typical weekend rhythm, tending to the garden, a soothing pot of chamomile brewing on the stove, and the gentle strains of classical music filling the air. Yet my mind kept drifting back to Tyra's words, time and time again, as his hand lightly grazed mine at the door. How softly he had spoken my name. Later that afternoon, Danny descended the stairs, bleary-eyed and rubbing his eyes. "Morning, Mom," he said, his voice rough around the edges. "It's almost 3, I playfully remarked. "It's still morning for me," he murmured, reaching for a forgotten slice of cake in the fridge. "What a wild night, right?" "It appeared that everyone enjoyed themselves," I remarked cautiously, keeping an eye on him. "Absolutely," he exclaimed, his mouth full. "Looks like Tyra is burning the midnight oil, huh?" I made an effort to remain composed. He certainly did. Assisted me in tidying up. We had a brief conversation. Danny nodded, completely unbothered. "Absolutely, he excels in that regard. I've always been the reliable one." He drifted toward the TV, leaving me enveloped in that familiar warmth once more. Quite satisfactory indeed. Yet there was something deeper that transpired last night, a silent force that resonates deeply. That evening, just as I was ready to unwind in a bath, my phone buzzed on the counter. "Tyler. Hi there. I trust I didn't overstep any boundaries last night. I truly meant every word, and if I caused you any discomfort, I sincerely apologize." I gazed at the screen, my thumb poised above the keyboard, caught in a moment of contemplation. Myself. "You haven't crossed any boundaries. You caught me off guard, but in a good way. I've completely lost touch with the sensation of being truly seen like that. Thank you very much." 1 minute ticked by, followed by another. "Tyler, is it all right if I swing by tomorrow? Simply to have a conversation. I assure you it's perfectly normal." My heart raced with excitement. I ought to have declined. I could have maintained a clear boundary, but I chose not to. Myself. Tomorrow looks great. The afternoon unfolds in serene silence here. The following day, he arrived shortly after 1 o'clock. There will be no celebration. Experience solitude. Only him. He delivered coffee, dark hues for him. "I'll take hazelnut, please," he recalled. As we settled onto the back porch, a soft breeze danced through, making the wind chimes sway gracefully. He paused before responding. I glanced out at the garden, then back at myself. "I truly meant what I said the other night," he started. "I've never encountered anyone quite like you. A listener like you is truly rare, a person who instills a sense of value in someone." The words were there, but a tightness in my throat held them back. "I don't expect anything from you," he added swiftly. "This goes beyond mere teenage dreams or seeking to create chaos. I've been holding something in my heart for quite a while, and I feel it's time to share it." His voice remained unwavering, his gaze remained steadfast. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to truly experience it. No shame, no guilt. Yet, the gradual unfolding of something that has been confined for ages. A door within my chest slowly creaked open, allowing the light to pour in. "I'm not sure where this belongs, Tyler." I spoke in a gentle whisper. I haven't experienced this level of vitality in ages. His smile, coupled with the intensity of his gaze, conveyed a depth of emotion that words could never capture. What ensued was neither a tempest nor a hidden love affair. The pace was more gradual, gentler. It was akin to a gentle unfolding of something we both had yet to grasp, yet we felt an exhilarating courage to delve into it. In a remarkable way, that changed everything. In the weeks that followed, Tyler and I found ourselves in a seamless, unspoken rhythm. He would visit every few days, striking the perfect balance, never too frequent, never presumptuous. At times, it was merely a pretext for lending a hand with repairs. Secure the patio chair and fix the broken hinge on the kitchen cabinet. At times, he would surprise me with delightful pastries from the local bakery or a book he believed would capture my interest. Yet, above all else, we engaged in conversation. Time would drift away on the back porch, surrounded by a flourishing garden as we explored the depths of one another. He shared the story of his parents' divorce, revealing how his mother became emotionally distant and how my home served as his refuge. He recalled the moment I prepared a cup of cocoa for him following a tough soccer match, and how that simple gesture of kindness lingered in his memory throughout the years. I shared with him the dreams I had relinquished, the countless years dedicated to crafting perfection for others. In the stillness of the night, I found myself wide awake, contemplating whether this silent, resonant house was truly all that remained for me. As the sun set and the gentle breeze whispered through the trees, he took my hand in his. It lacked boldness. It was meticulous. It's like seeking approval without uttering a single syllable. I stayed right there. His fingers radiated warmth as they intertwined with mine, his thumb softly gliding over my knuckles. That touch conveyed more than all the conversations we'd shared up to that point. It conveyed a message of presence, acknowledgement, and genuine concern. "I understand this may sound a bit out there," he said softly, "and I certainly don't wish to complicate your life, but you've always been someone I admired, and now I find myself seeing you in a whole new way." A wave of awareness washed over me, causing my chest to tighten, not from fear, but from a deep sense of recognition. It felt like an eternity since anyone had addressed me with such deep respect. Embrace the freedom of no expectations. Zero games. "Tyler," I murmured, "this is quite challenging for me. Conversations would arise. Some may already be." "I don't care what they say," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. "This is not about them. Your story matters. What about me?" Honestly, I realized I didn't care as much as I initially believed. That evening, he lingered a bit more than he typically would. We nestled on the couch, coffee in hand, legs tucked beneath us, the TV casting a flickering glow in the background, yet completely overlooked. In a moment of genuine amusement, I found myself laughing heartily at his words. He leaned in closer, his hand gently resting on my knee. Our gazes locked. The distance that once defined us transformed. It transcended mere desire. This was not a lapse in strength. It was an experience that resonated on a profound level. It's akin to the unspoken bond shared by two souls who have wandered through life's solitude for far too long. I extended my hand, my fingers grazing the contour of his face, and he leaned into the sensation. As his lips met mine, slow and tentative, with a sense of reverence, I experienced a spark within me that I had long since overlooked. We took our time. No necessity existed. The closeness wasn't found in the haste. It resided in the softness. The way he gazed at me made me feel significant. I was more than just a mother, more than an ex-wife, more than the accumulation of what time had shaped me into. In the aftermath, we lingered in quietude, the space enveloped in gentle lamplight and tender shadows. His fingers glided over the back of my hand, while his other arm enveloped my shoulders, cradling me as if I were something truly cherished. "To me, Helen, you are far more than just a fleeting thought," he declared. "You were never that." I shut my eyes, allowing the words to sink deep into my heart. The following days proved to be quite challenging. I grappled with uncertainty, anxiety, and the potential scrutiny from friends, or even my own son. I kept it to myself. Not at this moment. I wasn't prepared. When Tyler arrived with flowers from the local market, or sent me a morning text saying he was thinking of me, it brought me back to the reality of our connection. Even amidst the uncertainty, what we experienced was not a mistake. On a Saturday, while we wandered through the farmer's market, hand in hand, and ever so discreet, I caught sight of the curious glances around us. Several curious glances exchanged, accompanied by hushed remarks. Yet Tyler remained unfazed. He tightened his grip on my hand and flashed a warm smile. "Are you doing all right?" he inquired. "Indeed," I exclaimed, a touch taken aback to discover it was indeed the case. "I believe I truly am." As we settled onto a park bench, indulging in a slice of cherry pie, he glanced at me, his eyes filled with contemplation. "I understand this may not be the norm," he admitted, "but I've never experienced anything this genuine before." I refuse to turn my back on it simply because it doesn't conform to others' expectations. I gazed at him, this young man who had pierced through my years, through my self-doubt, and discovered something truly worth cherishing. I smiled. "I don't want to leave either," I said. The reality was, I was uncertain about where this journey would take me. I was uncertain whether we could navigate the world's judgments or the intricacies of merging our distinctly different lives. For the first time in ages, I found myself walking that path alongside someone who truly saw me, listened to me, and embraced every part of who I am. And that was sufficient to propel forward. The weeks flowed by in a serene cadence, yet a profound transformation stirred within me. Tyler and I started to shape a connection that was both tender and sincere. It was still without a name, at least for now. However, it was unnecessary. It thrived in the little details. The gentle way he would sweep a strand of hair from my face as I immersed myself in a book on the couch. He'd cooked dinner with me in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, laughter filling the air as we debated the perfect amount of garlic. The extraordinary essence of the everyday was undeniable, and still I sensed the weight of reality approaching. As we delved further into each other's lives, it became increasingly clear that our secret couldn't remain concealed for long. I could feel the moment approaching when I would need to share the news with Danny. One evening, Tyler and I found ourselves seated across from one another at the kitchen table, the empty teacups resting between us. The candlelight danced in his eyes, revealing the tension lurking just beneath his smile. "I've been reflecting," he said softly, "on Danny." My heart raced. He went on to say that he's my friend and always has been. However, if this situation is going to progress in any way, he has the right to be informed. I gazed at my hands, rhythmically folding and unfolding the napkin resting in my lap. "I understand," I replied softly. "I simply don't want to let him go." Tyler extended his hand across the table, enveloping mine with a firm grip. "You're not going to. He has deep feelings for you. He holds you in high regard. I'm ready to accept any blame he wants to direct at me. I simply want us to be honest and acknowledge that we're not doing anything wrong." Once more his silent courage shone through, the captivating blend of sensitivity and strength that initially captured my attention. The following day, I extended an invitation to Danny for an intimate dinner, just the two of us. I required the room. I wanted to gaze into his eyes, free from Tyler's presence, away from the weight of having them both in the same space. He showed up just past 6, clutching a bottle of wine and wearing his signature crooked grin. "Something smells delightful," he remarked as he hung up his jacket. "I mentioned it was your favorite. Succulent roast chicken paired with fragrant rosemary potatoes." While we enjoyed our meal, I looked for the perfect opportunity. However, the ideal moment to share with your son that you've developed feelings for his best friend never seems to arrive. Instead, I chose to communicate with the same level of honesty that Tyler had shared with me. "Danny," I remarked, placing my fork on the table, "I want to discuss something significant with you, and I kindly ask that you listen fully before responding." He glanced upward, a look of concern on his face. "Mom, can you tell me what's happening? We're talking about Tyler." His brow knitted in concentration. "Is he doing all right?" "Yes, he is doing fine. Everything is fine. However, there's been a shift in our dynamic. Tyler and I have developed a deep bond, an incredibly close connection." His complexion drained of color. He gazed at me in silence. I forged ahead, my heart racing. It wasn't part of my plans. He didn't either. In recent months, our conversations have deepened, and we've forged connections I never imagined possible again. Amidst it all, emotions began to blossom. Danny reclined in his chair, arms folded, lips sealed in a firm line. "This may be difficult to accept," I remarked. "While it may not align with common expectations, it has been genuine and respectful. Every decision we've made has been carefully considered with your best interests in mind." He remained silent for an extended period. In a hushed tone, he inquired, "How long?" "Ever since the evening of your birthday," I mentioned. "That was the moment we truly noticed one another." He brushed his hand across his face. "Honestly, I would never betray you, Danny. I absolutely would not. He didn't either." "I didn't think you did," he said, finally lifting his gaze. It's quite substantial. I understand," I replied gently. He rose and made his way to the sink, gazing out the window as if seeking to unravel the mysteries of the world. He then turned. "I always sensed your loneliness," he remarked, "even when you made an effort to conceal it. I've noticed how Tyler has been gazing at you recently. I wondered if it was all in my head, but..." He gave a slight shake of his head. He expressed his hesitation, saying it slowly. "I'm not fond of the idea. It's unusual. You are my mother. He is a friend of mine. You truly deserve happiness. And he is. He's actually a decent person. He's a great guy. Tears welled up in my eyes. You're doing just fine. No, he replied. However, I will be. He approached, enveloped me in his embrace, and softly murmured, "Just don't cause each other pain." I embraced him firmly. We will not. Later that night, Tyler showed up, bracing himself for the worst. As I approached the porch, a gentle smile spread across my face. "You informed him?" and he inquired. I certainly did. His gaze sought out mine. He expressed that while he wasn't fond of the idea, he does comprehend it. As Tyler exhaled, I caught a glimpse of relief, gratitude, and an undercurrent of something more profound. That evening, as we nestled together on the couch, everything seemed a bit simpler. Embrace, a touch more sincerity. We were no longer in the shadows. In that moment of truth, a fresh possibility started to unfold. A deeper connection, more powerful. We had successfully navigated the toughest challenges. What lay ahead was the future and the possibilities of how we would craft it side by side. As summer unfolded, our bond grew stronger. Tyler had stopped knocking when he arrived. He entered quietly, taking a moment to call out my name to ensure I wouldn't be taken by surprise. His presence in the house became an unquestioned part of my reality. It simply was, like the warm glow of sunlight streaming through the kitchen window or the soft creak of floorboards beneath my feet as I wandered barefoot in the quiet of night. We established a deep connection that transcended mere infatuation or fleeting impulses. It was a sense of stability. He started spending the night more frequently, often drifting off next to me while we enjoyed classic films or chatted into the early morning hours. His presence brought a sense of comfort, a tranquility I hadn't experienced since my youth. Even with the undeniable connection we shared, I frequently found myself lying awake in the dark, gazing at the ceiling and pondering what the future held. I was not naive. I was aware that the differences between us were too significant to overlook indefinitely. Life stages, age, and expectations. I had already experienced a lifetime, while his was just beginning to unfold. On a Saturday morning, we found ourselves on the back porch, coffee in hand, our legs brushing against each other beneath the table. The garden thrummed with the lively hum of bees, while the air was infused with the enchanting scents of lavender and rich, damp earth. "I received an offer," he said softly. I faced him. A proposal. Employment opportunity in Seattle, creative agency. They are requesting that I begin in September. I felt a tightness in my chest, yet I maintained a composed expression. "That's absolutely amazing." He nodded, yet his expression revealed inner turmoil. "This is the culmination of all my efforts," yet I extended my hand towards him. "However, it's quite a distance." "Absolutely," he mentioned. "It's quite a distance." I gazed at him then, not as a young man in love, but as a figure poised at a pivotal crossroads. There was a time, long ago, when I found myself at a similar crossroads, before the commitments of marriage and motherhood, before I began prioritizing the dreams of others over my own. I gently urged, "You should go." He pivoted abruptly in my direction. "Excuse me. I urged you to leave again and again. You've put in the effort. Now it's time to seize that opportunity." He remained silent, observing me intently. "What about us?" I released my breath gradually. "I'm unsure. If only there were a straightforward solution. However, I am certain that I don't want to be the factor holding you back, not at this moment." A hush enveloped us, punctuated solely by the whispering leaves and the faint hum of a lawnmower in the distance. "At last," he expressed, I can't bear the thought of losing you." I said, "You're not. I'm here to stay, no doubt about it. We must allow life to mold this, to mold us. Attempting to impose our will could lead to the destruction of something truly exquisite." And he glanced at our intertwined fingers before meeting my gaze once more. "May I return?" he inquired. "There will always be a spot for you here," I assured. "Should fate guide you back this way, know that I will be waiting." We embraced tightly, lingering in the moment, reluctant to part ways just yet. The upcoming weeks unfolded in a whirlwind of preparations, packing, farewell dinners, and serene evenings spent in each other's embrace. In a moment devoid of grand gestures or tearful confessions, two individuals found themselves grasping something truly unique and authentic. They made the conscious choice to honor it, despite the imperfections of timing. On the morning of his departure, he kissed me gently, as if he were etching my form into his memory. As I stood on the porch, he backed out of the driveway, one hand lifted in a wave while the other clutched the steering wheel, as if reluctant to part ways. Silence enveloped the house in the aftermath. Not vacant, merely tranquil. I returned to my familiar routines: book club on Thursdays, tending to my garden, and enjoying the occasional dinner with Danny, who had surprisingly embraced the idea of Tyler more than I had anticipated. He would occasionally tease me about it, affectionately referring to Tyler as Seattle, a nickname that held more warmth than irony. Months later, on a golden autumn afternoon, I approached the mailbox and discovered a letter inside. A letter, not an email. Not a text. On luxurious cream-colored paper, in Tyler's distinctive handwriting, the message read, "I miss you. I am evolving. I'm on a journey of discovery. I'm accomplishing all my goals. Yet a piece of me remains in that kitchen, observing you chuckle over coffee and pondering if perhaps one day you'll welcome me back home." I held the letter close, a bittersweet smile on my lips, understanding that some love stories are subtle, imperfect, and beautifully complex. Yet, those who truly matter are patient. They inevitably discover their path back home. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.